Welcome back to my channel, sports fans. Okay, let's get into this right here. Is Hakeem Olajuwon a greater player and had a greater career than LeBron James? That is the question, folks. And before we get into all these accolades and all this stuff, you know, the defensive players of the years and rebound titles and, you know, all this regular stuff, you know, as a positional player, let's get into this. Let's talk about what Hakeem had to go through just to win his championships, just in those years that he won it. One year he was a number 6, in another year he was a number 2. So he was a number 2 the first year, or the first time he won a championship, and he played Portland Trailblazers. Now, let's remember, this is basically the same Trailblazer team that Michael Jordan played in '92. Basically the same roster. Maybe a couple role players were the same, but basically the same starting 5. So this is what Hakeem went through and played these guys. And then, you know, he had to play a Phoenix team. That same Phoenix team that Michael Jordan beat in the finals. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like he was playing different teams than Michael Jordan. He was playing Phoenix teams that was the Phoenix team that was really supposed to be competing for the title again. It had a stronger chance now that Michael Jordan was gone. Nobody really knew nothing about the Rockets like that. And then to cap it off, you know, we look at that Utah Jazz team. Basically the same Utah Jazz team that Michael Jordan will play in '97. So this was in '94. Okay? So we talk about the NBA Finals. End up playing who? The Knicks. The Knicks, who took them to a Game 7. And Hakeem had to show up and show out because he was playing against the vaunted Knicks defense. So, look, if Hakeem put up like normal Hakeem numbers, maybe like 24 points per game, and, you know, he did his couple blocks and, you know, got his rebounds, that would not have been enough. So basically, if he would have put up LeBron James type of stats in the NBA Finals, they would have lost. You know those stats that LeBron put up his first, you know, 6 finals? Those type of stats. Just regular season stats. No. Hakeem had to go above and beyond. And he had a school, Patrick Ewing, who had a horrible NBA Finals. Worst time to have an NBA Finals. He just did. But, you know, it was the rest of the team for the New York Knicks who showed up and showed out and really played defense on his teammates. And they won the championship. So, I mean, also, when you look at it too, in '95, guess what? They had to play San Antonio. David Robinson had to play Utah again. Had to play that same Phoenix team again. So, I mean, and then, you know, for your birthday surprise, you know, guess what? You get to play the Orlando Magic as a 6 seed. You're a 6 seed. You get to play Shaq and Penny, the best team in the NBA. The best team in the NBA, right? You don't get to play no 3-4 seed or nothing like that. It was the same when he played the Knicks the season before. You don't get to play no 3-4 seed and all that stuff that some of these guys play in the NBA Finals today. That ain't what Hakeem Olajuwon was facing. He was facing this Orlando team that was supposed to basically win a championship, right? And not only did they beat them, they swept them. They swept them. Swept them right out of the damn playoffs. Okay? So to me, those back-to-back runs right there is, to me, something similar like Kobe Bryant, right? Although on the first run, the first championship, he had no help like that. He didn't have Clyde Drexler. And Clyde Drexler did come over in the offseason. No, my fault. At the trade deadline. So he did come over during the second championship at the trade deadline. So he did have that help. But, you know, you could say it's similar to something like Kobe Bryant did, but it was, to me, it was greater than what Kobe Bryant did. Way greater. Because Kobe Bryant had Paul Gasol in 2 of them. Now, you can say that Kobe did go to 3 straight finals from 2008 to 2010. So I guess you can say that, you know, to give Kobe a little bit credit. But You know, those finals runs are kind of similar in a way, because Kobe Bryant didn't have a top 75 teammate on his team at the time, of him going to 3 straight finals and winning 2 back-to-back. And, you know, I guess you could say Kobe did beat 3 top 75 players on the second one, because LeBron James was too scared to show up to the damn finals. We talked about that yesterday. It won't be no GOAT debate today. And, you know, I mean, that's what's so big about this whole thing, and I talk about this a lot. You know, the NBA already knew if LeBron James showed up to those NBA finals like he was supposed to, especially in 2009, 2010, and get beat by Kobe, Kobe would still be under Michael Jordan as number 2, and LeBron James basically wouldn't have any kind of GOAT debate over Kobe. He wouldn't. He just wouldn't. And guess what? His cronies, they won't have a job. The Nick Rice, the Shannon Sharps, the, you know, I won't say Colin Cowherd, because he was saying Michael Jordan was the greatest before he started getting paid by Clutch. So, you know, he would have a job, but his tune probably would stay the same as it used to be, because he's good at what he does, or used to be. It's just a lot of guys want to have a job, because these guys today, in the past 10 years, they got a job lying. You have a job lying? Wow. You have a job lying. You make all this money by lying. Getting paid to lie, basically. Basically getting paid to lie. So, to me, you know, we can throw in the block titles that Hakeem has, and the rebound titles, the defensive players of the years, and stuff like that, and, you know, the defensive teams and whatever. As a skilled positional player, you know, everybody knows that Hakeem is probably top 3 skilled player of all time. He just is top 3. It's hard to rank them, but as far as, you know, the top 3, it's pretty tough. It's pretty tough, but, you know, he's got the hardware to prove it. People went to Hakeem Olajuwon to learn how to be a skilled basketball player. You can't dispute that. There's nothing to really dispute right there. I mean, nothing to dispute. So to me, you know, we talk about, you know, Kobe Bryant's 3 runs to the finals, going back to back, and what he had to face with him going to the finals, the competition out in the West. You know, are those the greatest of all time? Kobe and, you know, Hakeem Olajuwon? They might be. They just might be, folks. If they are, Hakeem is number 1. Hakeem is definitely number 1. So, you know, you can put Michael Jordan up there. That first title that he won, that was pretty difficult too. And in the fashion that he did it, it was very difficult too. So I think they only lost 1 game going to the finals and lost 2 games overall. I wouldn't say the 2000 Lakers, when they did their runs, I mean, it was impressive. One game, they only lost 1 game in the playoffs. But what was that in? I want to say that was that 2000? If I ain't mistaken, I think it was in 2000. You know, so, but to me, the competition was not the same. It just wasn't the same as far as all-time great skilled players that they were facing. You know, when you talk about Reggie Miller, he was kind of past his prime, and, you know, and stuff like that. And the guys they were beating to get to they beat a lot of guys way past their prime, top 75 players, and, you know. So, do you think LeBron James is greater than Hakeem Olajuwon? I just don't think so. I just don't think so. Now, to me, I think Hakeem Olajuwon, you got to think all these all NBAs and these defensive teams that he was going against, the guys he was going against, it's just insane. It's just insane when we think about it. To get on a defensive team, you're going against Patrick Ewing, Alonzo Mourning, you know, Shaq. Who else? David Robinson, Dikembe Mutombo. This is crazy, folks. That's all the guys he's going against. I want to think, you know, Mark Eaton was in there in the mix, and, you know, Manute Bol was in the mix. Goodness gracious, it's just like never ended to get on all, not only defensive team, what about all NBA? First team. You know what I'm saying? Second team and third team is okay, but to get on the first team, that's who he was going against too. It's nuts. It's totally nuts. So I just don't think LeBron James competition at the small forward to be on the defensive first team or all NBA first team was that stout. It really wasn't. In the 2000s or the 2010s, it just ain't that stout, man. Now, I'm not going to try to say, he didn't deserve it, but, who's he going against? Who's he going against at that position? Nobody. I remember one year he made like second team in the 2000s. I think that the first year he made All NBA, and then Paul Pierce, he made All NBA first team, but I think he made All NBA for the first time ever. And I think he made All NBA first team, and then the next year, if I'm not mistaken, Paul Pierce was on first team, and I think he was on second or something like that. But really, who are they? Who's this competition? Who's this competition? I'm not for sure, folks. LeBron's competition. I don't know. I have to go back and look at. I'm talking about real competition that made the top 75. In the Hall of Fame, especially top 75. Who is really his real competition? So yeah, Hakeem did beat 10 top 75 players in those 2 years, in those runs, right, on the back-to-back championship. So I don't know, man. It's similar to something Kobe did, but I think I still give Hakeem, more of a higher notch. To me, I think the competition was a little bit better in the West, and I don't know, man. I don't know. I want to say overall, I think Hakeem's finals competition was better. You know what I'm saying? So say if we take that New York team and we put it up against that that Orlando Magic team, there's no way. There's no way. There's no way. That Knicks 94 team that went to the finals, it would destroy that 2009 Boston team. That 2009 Boston team wasn't even supposed to be in the finals. They weren't even supposed. They got there by default. In that year, they beat the Big Three Celtics. And I say they got there by default because LeBron James, again, didn't want to play Kobe. That's like Magic. I mean, just like, Bird or Magic not going to the finals because they didn't want to play each other. It would be insane. Or like, Charles Barkley, I'm not going to the finals. I know Michael Jordan's going to be there again. You know what I'm saying? This type of stuff. These guys, the Charles Barkleys and the Clyde Drexlers and the, Karl Malones and the Gary Paytons, they had to take legacy hits. You know what I'm saying? They had to take legacy hits for playing Michael Jordan and getting beat by Michael Jordan in the NBA Finals, right? Even, you can say Magic to a degree. I'm not talking about legacy hits as far as it destroyed their career, but, it always they got beat by Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan beat some great guys on a great team. And just because their team, I'll tell you this all the time, LeBron James never played a super team. Then we go through this other day. LeBron James has never played a super team in the finals. Never a super team again. You could say out of their prime or in their prime. The Big Three Celtics in the 2000s were out of their prime. Yes, they were a super team, no doubt about it. But that's what they had to do because they could not lead. Well, individually, they were unable to lead a team to a championship. They just weren't leaders like that. They were, yes, they're all-time great players, top 75 individual players like that, but they couldn't individually take their teams and rally the troops and turn a player into their team. What a mess! I can't even say it. Turn a teammate on their team into a Hall of Fame type of dude or a top 75 type of guy. They couldn't do that, right? Garnett couldn't do that. Paul Pierce couldn't do that. They just couldn't do that. And Ray Allen couldn't do it. Yes, all-time great player. Yes, couldn't do it. Who else? We could talk about, in a sense, when we talk about Clyde Drexler, Charles Barkley, and Hakeem, out of their prime. Now, we know Hakeem was able to lead his team to a championship 1 year. Clyde Drexler was unable to do it. He did lead his team to the finals twice. Big props to him. So you can kind of take him out of that equation in a sense. And you can take Charles Barkley out of the equation in a sense when we're talking about, when we're talking about the big three Celtics, all three of those guys, was able to lead their team to at least a finals. And when we're talking about taking the hit, two of those guys took the hit. Charles Barkley and Clyde Drexler. But they were out of their prime. That's a super team out of their prime. And what were they able to do in 2 years? Well, I think 1 year they were close. If it wasn't for John Stockton, I think that was in 97. But they were way out of their prime. I mean, they weren't like, let's say if they were in their prime, they would have won back-to-back championships easily. These guys in their prime. But guess what? They would never do nothing like that in our prime because it won't be respected. How respected is the Big Three Celtics 2000 championship? Well, it's okay. It's respected, but it's not that respected. Right? They could only pull one off in 6 years, folks. That's crazy. In the NBA Finals they went to in 2010 was by default. They were all the way down to a number 4 seed. Default. Guess who LeBron James got beat by a 4 seed? Okay, these guys were just full of injuries, all this stuff, and blah, blah, blah. And we talked about this yesterday, how, LeBron James said he was going to wear the number 6 at the beginning of the year in 2009, 2010. That's what Skip was talking about on I think it was 1st and 10, the day after, they lost in Game 6, the Cavs did, to the Celtics. And, Skip was talking about LeBron James, what was the word? I don't know. He said something about he what was the word he said? He something, his number 23, he shamed it. I think he said shamed the number 23. But he said, I think it was the moderator, if I'm not mistaken. He said, yeah, but LeBron James won't be wearing the number 23 next year. That's what he told us at the beginning of the year. So again, all that was premeditated, folks, for him to lose in 2010, especially. It was premeditated in that they said he was going to wear the number 6 the next season. That's what they said the day after they lost to Boston, Game 6 in 2010. So he already knew he was going to Miami Heat. He already knew it, so he wasn't trying to play Kobe. And we couldn't find out again, folks, that Dwayne Wade said that they had to pair up because of Kobe. So it wasn't that Kobe won the 2010 championship and they said, oh yeah, we got to stop Kobe. No, they already knew it. He wasn't trying to go to the finals, period. He wasn't trying to go. LeBron James was not trying to go to the NBA Finals in 2010. That's why he pooped his pants. And he wasn't trying to go in 2009. Forget about it, folks. He wasn't trying to go again. Once he saw what he did in 2007, he wasn't trying to go there without a super team. And that was going to be the thing. Again, they were going to say, okay, say if he met Kobe in 2011 in the finals, the thing would be like, they would have all these excuses, right, for LeBron James having a super team, whether he won or he lost against Kobe. So the first thing they would say was, man, this man did a 4-peat. We ain't seen nothing like it since Bill Russell. That's what they would say. Second of all, if they lost, they'd say, see, this is what LeBron James needed. This team is an all-time great team. Now, because what would happen, they would have to put one of these guys probably in the Hall of Fame. Maybe like some of these Bill Russell teammates that really don't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. But they won a whole bunch of championships, but a lot of them don't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame based on their resume outside of winning championships. So I don't know. Maybe they would have, especially they would have put Paul Gasol as a top 75 player. I don't know. Maybe they would have put Bottom in the Hall of Fame. He would have went to 4 straight, and I think he was hurt in 2008. But nevertheless, they still would have put Bottom in the Hall of Fame. It just one of those guys would have went to the Hall of Fame on that team. Might have been Ron Artest. I don't know. Probably Bottom, especially if he had the rest of his career on the up and up, whatever. Yeah, that would have been 4 straight, and that's what they would have been screaming. But anyways, yeah, if they lost again, they would have been like, oh man, look, Bottom's a Hall of Famer, blah blah blah. This is what he needed to win. Now if he lost, been the same shit. Oh man, well that's the same thing. If Kobe won, they would have been okay. Say if LeBron James would have won. Now Bottom probably ain't a Hall of Famer, and Gasol, he's still a Hall of Famer, but he's not a top 75 because they already have one back-to-back, whatever like that. But LeBron James beating Kobe again, it would have been, see, 4 straight finals, blah, blah, blah. This is what, they needed to knock off Kobe. That's how great Kobe was. That's what it would have, and that's what they was rolling the dice on, folks. This is what they was rolling the dice on. Dwayne Wade told you. They needed a super team to beat Kobe Bryant. Just like, okay, we take 97. I think it was 97 when John Stockton hit that shot to send the Jazz to the finals. And that was that year Hakeem, Clyde Drexler, and who was this? And Barkley were together. Could you imagine that? Michael Jordan had to play that? That's crazy. That's nuts. That's nuts. That's nuts. I keep saying that's nuts because it's nuts. That's what they were banking on. This is the only way we can beat Michael Jordan. We got to group up and get a cheap ring. Which it would have been crazy because the Bulls would have beat them. Because guess what? The Bulls, they didn't even go to Game 7 with the Jazz. So, I'm just saying, folks, that needs to be more investigated than anything. And this is why I don't put LeBron James up there with Hakeem. Now, I got Hakeem like at, what was it? I had him at number 5. And then sometimes I think maybe I should put him up higher in the rankings. God, it's just hard because he didn't win a championship for 10 years. And then he goes on a back-to-back, probably the greatest back-to-back championships of all time. I mean, that's 10 years. If I'm not mistaken, it's 10th and 11th year out of his prime, and he does that. That's just insane. And it's just hard for me to, did I say I had him at number 5? No, I had him at number 6. It's hard for me to put him anywhere else. God. But then again, you got to rank players, career and individually wise. It's so tough, man. Because he doesn't have more championships than Wilt. So Michael Jordan is 1. He's not moving. I got Wilt at number 2. I don't think he was a better player than Wilt. I just don't. I don't. Truthfully, I don't think anybody really is a better player than Wilt. I just don't think that. I just don't think that. And if we want to think that, okay, the only person I would say would be Michael Jordan. And that's just because he was able to raise his level of play like nobody in the playoffs. Nobody in the playoffs, the finals, whatever. And that's what he really has over Wilt Chamberlain. But, I want to say, Hakeem did it enough to overtake Wilt as far as raising his level of play. Yes, he did it. Yes, he did it, but I don't think he did it too much more if he did it more. So I won't put him over Wilt Chamberlain because Wilt could do everything that Hakeem could do, and Wilt was a better scorer. So, and then we go to Kareem Olajuwon. Not Kareem Olajuwon. Ain't that crazy? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I don't know, man. I guess if you put Hakeem in the 70s, I think he would win all those MVPs too. I think he really would. Not taking nothing away from Kareem, but I guess if you look at them, they're very similar players. If you look at the resume, this is what I would like to look at. The resume. Maybe I'll put that. If we minus championships and I guess you could say MVPs. I know that's messed up, but if you look at everything else, they look similar, right? The All-Stars, the All-NBA first team, second team. Well, they didn't have a third team back then. I don't think so. But I think he does have some third teams, Kareem. So, but if you look at first, second, third, all NBA, you look at all-star, you look at, defensive first in second team, and then you go down there and look at these statistical titles, these blocks, these rebounds, and, I guess Hakeem don't have a scoring title, but at the same time, Kareem don't have defensive player of the year. So, I think that was something new, actually, Kareem missed out on because the block titles weren't there, I think, his first couple years in the league. So we'll have to look at that. You just, talking about the greatest skill player of all time, Kareem just doesn't register up there. I guess because he really don't have the moves per se as, other all-time great centers. But he didn't need all those moves. He didn't need to shake and bake and do all this stuff, and that's probably why he played for a long time. But yeah, I wonder why nobody really put their resumes up, right? And yeah, that would be a great video. I'm gonna come out with that video. I don't know. I don't think I can do that really. But Hakeem over Kareem, it just won't be really no real validation. It just wouldn't. I guess if he was like a Hakeem fan, 6 championships, it's just, I don't know, man. When we go back and we look at it on paper, because I don't heard Sports and Fitness Rants, he said he don't have Kareem. I think he said he don't have Kareem in his top 10. Was it top 10 or top 5? I think he said top 5. But I don't know. It would be hard for me to put Magic Johnson over Kareem still. I would have to put Magic Johnson out the top 5 before I take, Kareem out. So, number 4 is, I didn't have Kobe in my top 5 at first. And not because he's not a great player. He's one of the greatest players of all time. If you want to put him at 1, that's fine. If you want to put him at 2, that's fine. But I'm talking about the overall body of work. To me, I think the separation of him and Shaq is what messed it up. Not that Shaq carried him or anything like that, but let's just say, if Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen was a 1A, 1B, that I think that would really hurt Michael Jordan a little bit. And it wasn't like that. They both wasn't offensive and defensive all-time greats on both sides of the ball. Now, you can say Shaq that, he's not an all-time defender, but, you got to look at who he was going up against, though. I mean, let's just say if he had to play Rudy Gobert's schedule as far as, centers, I mean, Shaq would make first defensive team all the time. Okay, so it wasn't that Shaq wasn't a great defender. He was going against some all-time greats. So, but that's a 1A and 1B right there, Shaq and Kobe. Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen was never. Scottie Pippen could never get up to 25 points per game, never. If he tried to take that many attempts, you know what would happen? It would be a break fest. He would be shooting in the damn 30s. What Scottie Pippen was able to do, because he wasn't a good shooter. He wasn't a pure shooter like that. He was able to, locate his shots, to get his shots. He wouldn't go outside of himself and try to make difficult shots because he couldn't make difficult shots. A lot of times he would do bank shots. A lot of times, do layups, turnaround floaters and stuff like that. But as far as, straight up pure shooting, he just wasn't like that most of the time. You see it a couple times in the game where he hit these kind of shots. And a lot of times in the second three-peat, he was like 3-point crazy. Because, he didn't want to shoot the mid-range that much because you gotta have touch on a mid-range shot. So he didn't want to shoot that much because he was going to break it up. But and like I said, Bill Russell and Kobe is at number 4. I can't take Bill Russell out. That would be crazy. A lot of people have Bill Russell like top 3, which is cool. And then I have Magic at number 5. Now, You can dispute that if you want. Magic versus Hakeem. I don't know, man. It's just it's nuts. This guy, the NBA back then was crazy, man. The NBA back then was crazy. You had this guy winning 3 MVPs. 3 MVPs. Well, Michael Jordan was doing all that. Well, Michael Jordan was doing all that. What was it, 87? I want to say it was it 80, I want to say it was 87, 89, and 90. Crazy. With Michael Jordan putting up numbers like that, Bird putting up numbers like that, all these guys, Charles Barkley and, Hakeem and, all these guys in the league putting up just these crazy numbers. And then you look at, the fact that he won 3 finals MVPs. And I know, Kareem. Yeah, Kareem was, when he was winning these MVPs, Kareem was, 14, 15, like 16 years into his prime. I mean, into his career, out of his prime. I don't know, man. The team was stacked. I just don't know, man. That's hard for you to take him out the top 5 and put Kareem there. I done heard Magic as high as 3. God. 3, 4. I don't know. Anyways, I don't think I'm going to move any of my guys because it's just insane to think, to move any these guys out. Michael Jordan at 1, Wilt at number 2, Kareem at number 3, Kobe Bryant and Bill Russell, I got them at 4 together. And again, Magic Johnson at 5. Okay, so I'm going to keep Hakeem at 6. No problem. Keep him at 6. Some people want to put him higher. That's fine with me, but I'm just saying he's greater than LeBron James. Greater. I don't even think it's close. And when I talk about these guys, that I've been talking about, these top 75 players, none of these guys were ducking the smoke. None of these guys were ducking the smoke. Once LeBron James got to the 2007 finals and got his doors blown off, to me, he started ducking the smoke. It's better to lose in the playoffs than lose in the finals. And what's so crazy, that came back to bite him in the ass. Because he got, even with his super team, it still bit him in the ass. Even with his super team. When I say ducking the smoke, he didn't want to see Kobe in 2009, 2010. We already went over that. And he wasn't going to see him unless he built that super team. We already went over that. And it bit him in the ass because he got beat in 2011 with the super team. In 14. In 15. In 17. In 18. And like I said, none of these guys ducked the smoke. Wilt didn't duck the smoke. Jerry West didn't duck the smoke. These guys were going. Jerry West was showing up to the finals to play a team that he couldn't beat. That's the thing about it. He was showing up year after year after year. How you doing? Better than you. You're about to lose. That's what the Celtics was saying. Bill Russell could have lost in 69, in 68, 69. He didn't duck the smoke. He beat the Lakers. He didn't duck the smoke. Oh, we just been there too many times. Let's lose in the conference finals. They got a super team over there with LA now. They didn't duck the smoke. Karl Malone, John Stockton. Oh my God, we got to play the Bulls. They just came off a legendary season last year. No, we're not going. We're going to get beat by... These guys wanted to beat Michael Jordan. They wanted to tell their family, they their grandkids that they beat Michael Jordan. The Charles Barkleys, the Clyde Drexlers, even Magic Johnson. We beat him. But guess what? They couldn't do that. But they didn't duck the smoke. Oh, we ain't got Kareem, man. We ain't gonna beat Michael Jordan. They didn't duck the smoke. That's what you guys don't get. How could they? Hakeem wasn't ducking the smoke. He had to go through the West. That's where all the damn smoke was. None of these guys got to duck the smoke. The only person got to duck the smoke was LeBron James. From 2000, I want to say 2008. I don't care. But let's 2009, 2010, duck the smoke, and building a super team is ducking the smoke, period. After 2014, he ducked the smoke. He went and built another super team. He didn't even know who the hell who was good at that time. Maybe he was, think he was going to play San Antonio again. I don't know. In the finals. In 2015. But whoever he played in the West, he was going to get his doors blown off. With that Miami Heat team. Because they couldn't carry him no more. That was a problem. They couldn't carry him no more. So he had to go look for another team, super team, that was going to carry him. So he ducked the smoke again. Oh, Allen Iverson could say, oh, man, I'm not going to the finals, man. You already know that. Shaq and Kobe going to be there. Let's duck the smoke. But let me go build a super team. I just don't know who ducked the smoke ever. I just don't know who ducked the smoke ever. Except for LeBron James. So tell me what you think.